So, okay. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Liz Garcia. I'm founder of the Mind, Body, Spirit Network, and I am the founder and host of this online meetup group. And today we have a very special guest who is highly esteemed in the Boulder, Colorado area for her meetup groups and leadership in the personal branding realm. And I just want to jump right into introducing Jessie May, is our speaker today. So Jessie May is a personal branding and tribe building strategist for visionary entrepreneurs who need to be the inspirational face of their businesses so they can attract a lot of followers to their message. She's a true believer that the more you bring yourself to the forefront of your brand, the more your business will thrive. So she set out to transform forgettable businesses into memorable brands that reflect their owner's natural essence. In addition to her international personal branding business, Jessie May is the founder of Daring Divas, the most active meetup group for women entrepreneurs in Boulder, Colorado, with over 2,400 members and growing. Since 2011, Daring Divas has hosted over 600 events designed to cultivate connections that lead to new business opportunities, as well as lifelong friendships that reap benefits in business and beyond. And I will be sharing Jessie May's website is coachjessiemay.com, and I'll be sharing that on the video later. So Jessie May, you're off to the races, my dear. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks, Liz. And it was so cool listening to all of you introduce yourselves. We have some incredible healers in the house today.
Big time healing going on. There is a theme.
What a wonderful group. So today I am here to talk to you about how to attract clients, build your business, and most importantly for a lot of us heart-led leaders, make a positive impact in your community through the power of Meetup. But on an even deeper level, what I'm here to talk to you about is creating a long-term success system for your business so you can get off of that roller coaster of always wondering where the next client is coming from and being in that state of concern or worry about how you're making your money in your business. Meetup is what I call a long-term success strategy, because when you build a meetup group and you build it correctly and successfully, it not only makes, it's a win-win, because it not only makes such a great impact in your community and your members' lives, but it also fuels your business with new clients and customers and members, whoever you're looking to attract. Over and over and over again. It's never ending. As long as you run your meetup group, you always have that resource to tap into, which is really cool. So I want to tell you what we're going to cover today. I'm going to be going pretty quick because I have a lot to cover with you and not a lot of time. So I'm going to be moving quickly. So I just encourage you to stay present, make sure you're in a place where you can be focused, get a notebook out and a pen so you can jot down any notes. And if you have questions for me, please save them till I'm done and I will answer them for you after. I will stick around after if we need to get your questions answered. So what I'm going to cover today are the 6 things that you need to have in place before you start your meetup group. I'm also going to talk about the top 3 mistakes that I see and meetup group leaders make and that I've made myself that cost them the income, the credibility, and the clients they want to attract through their meetup group. I'll also share with you the one thing that you must do, you need to have in place to inspire people to join your meetup group, and then some ways to keep your members coming back again and again, because if they don't keep coming back, then your work is a lot harder trying to fill your events every time. So this is really important for us today because Meetup, especially in our world of online noise and online overwhelm, personal connection, whether that's live events or online communities like this, is becoming so vital, so much more important. People are learning to shut out the noise, not pay attention, and it's really easy. It can be really easy to get overwhelmed and get lost in everything that's going on the internet. And that's where the power of Meetup comes in, and live human connection comes in to your business, and why it's so important. So I just want us to keep that in mind as we're moving through this today. If you're someone who's finding yourself hiding behind like quote images on social media and not really getting out there in a bigger way, this is your call. This is my dare to you to step into that leadership role that you are here to create, and start making that impact in other people's lives and your business. So I want to tell you just a quick little bit about my journey so you can get to know who I am and what my experience with Meetup is all about. I started my Meetup group in 2011, and I actually started it at a time that was really difficult in my life and in my business. I remember I hit this rock bottom where I was driving down the street when I went on a drive in my car, because I was just feeling really like all the work I had been putting into my business was not paying off. And I was working really hard and didn't have a lot to show for it. And I was starting to get discouraged. And the worst part was having this like brilliance that I knew I had inside that I couldn't figure out how to get out in a way that other people understood what I had to offer. So I was driving down the street. It was this dark, stormy night. And I remember it was raining. It was autumn. The leaves were falling and blowing around the street. And I ended up just pulling into this parking lot. It was an empty, vacant lot, and stopping my car and just parking it and just starting to sob into the steering wheel, because I just didn't know what to do. And at that moment, I had these words come into my awareness, and the words were, "You can't achieve success in isolation." And at that moment, I realized, like, of course not. You are super isolated right now. So how can you expect to be attracting clients and achieving the success you want if nobody knows that you exist? So at that moment, because I can only take so much rock bottom for so long, I'm a pretty action-oriented, visionary, go-getter kind of person. I decided that I was going to do something that I had been putting off for a really long time, and that was to start my women's community, which is today called Daring Divas. And so when I made that decision, it wasn't easy, because I had a lot of excuses that I'd been dealing with and holding me back from taking that action for a long time. For one, I was an introvert, and I was scared about stepping out in that way and being around a lot of people. And at the same time, even though I was an introvert, I knew I was a leader, and I knew I had a bigger calling, and I couldn't just stay at home all the time. And so that was one reason. The other reason I hadn't done it yet is because, you know, Meetup was kind of hit or miss. I would see Meetup groups online with nothing on their calendars. Nobody seemed to attend events. I show up to a couple Meetups and there were like 2 people there. So I didn't really know, like, well, if these people aren't creating successful Meetup groups, why should I do that? Like, why could I go for that when I have this whole online world that was really booming at that time, and still is, of course, but it was really taking off then. And so the other thing was that, like, right, I was isolated, so nobody knew who I was. And so the question was, well, who's going to want to join my group? Nobody knows who I am. Like, why does anybody care about me and joining my group? And so I had to get over some pretty big mental and emotional hurdles to take that action. And once I did, I jumped in with both feet. And I have to say, it's been quite the ride ever since. It's not like I had everything figured out perfectly from the beginning. It started out pretty bumpy, but over the years, like Liz said, I've been doing this since 2011 and hosted over 600 events now. So over the years, I have learned a lot of lessons and fine-tuned my processes and strategies in the way that I run my group, so that I have finessed it to a point where it's working really well for me now. And so today, what I want to share with you are some of the things that I have learned to be really important to creating success with my meetup group. So also, as Liz mentioned, meetup is this teaching about meetup is something that came out of just doing it. It's not the main part of my business. The main part of my business is personal branding and tribe building, which is the tribe building part is related to meetup. But I'll share a little bit, it just naturally in the lesson today, about why your brand is so important to the success of your meetup group, because that's something near and dear to my heart and something that I feel strongly is very important to you building a group that you're happy with. Okay, so let's jump into the first thing so we can get all on the same page. What is Meetup? I know we have a lot of people at different levels here today in terms of Meetup. Some people have been to a bunch of Meetup groups, have their own Meetup. Some people haven't ever been to a Meetup group. So Meetup is basically an online platform where you can host live in-person events and gatherings of all different types. You can basically find a Meetup group for anything you want. If you want a knitting group, you can find it. If you want a group that you can get your new puppy together with other puppies and play, you can find it. But what we're talking about today is not so much a social focused meetup group, but more of a meetup group that you are leading from a business and marketing perspective. But I'm going to teach you how to do it without feeling salesy and pushy, and because you don't want people coming to your group feeling like it's just a big sales pitch. You don't want that either. So let's jump into the first part, which is 6 things you need to have in place before you start your meetup group. And if you have already started your meetup group, it's okay. These 6 things are still important, because if you haven't done them yet, they might be reasons why your group isn't quite at the level you want it to be yet. So you can kind of go back and fill in these holes and start seeing more success. So the first thing that you need to have in place before you start your meetup group is your brand. So what the heck is branding? It's not about like logos and spending $1 million and only for businesses that are more established. Your brand is really important because it creates the experience that your meetup group becomes known and remembered for. It includes things like your messaging, the look and feel of your meetup site, but also the event spaces and the energy and the vibe that you have at your events. It includes your presence and personality as the meetup group leader. Like I said, I started my meetup group in 2011. I didn't have my brand figured out for the first couple of years, and I was really, really struggling. And it took a good friend who was willing to be honest with me to tell me, like, hey, you're coming across like cheesy, cheap, unprofessional, all these things that broke my heart, for me to like have this wake up call about like, what's branding? Why is it important? I'm really coming across that way. Like I didn't realize the effect that I was leaving, the trail I was leaving behind. And once I dove in and started paying attention to that and making it better and consistent, I started seeing a change immediately. So in addition to your brand, the second thing that you need to have in place before you launch your meetup group is you need to be clear about who your ideal group member is. And your ideal group member needs to be the same as your ideal client in your coaching and healing business, right? Because the purpose of this type of meetup group is to create a platform where you have a bunch of your ideal clients who can then you can invite to the next level with you in your business. So you want your meetup group to be filled with ideal group members, and you want all of the messaging, right? This comes back to your brand, but all the messaging on your meetup group about page and all of your event pages to be aligned with that ideal group member and speak to their hearts. So they're like, yes, this is the group for me. And then when they get to your group in person, that messaging stays consistent across all those platforms, so they still feel aligned and like they're in the right place. So the next thing you need to have in place before you start your group, the third thing, is you need to know your purpose. I like to call it your big why. So what is your greater purpose for this group coming together? This could be aligned with your values. You want to share your purpose on your Meetup About page and at every single event, because this is something people can rally behind. They want to feel like they're part of something special and important and something that they align with. And when you share your purpose, it gives them something to connect to and feel proud of being part of. And you need to remind them every single time, because that consistency and clarity is important, not only for returning members, but for new members, so they know what your group is all about. So the fourth thing you need to have in place is your group name. Now, usually in the branding side of my business, I don't encourage people to get hung up on names, because it can be something that gets you paralyzed for too long. Like, I gotta figure out the name. I can't do anything else before the name. It's actually not the way I typically recommend doing it. But for your Meetup group, once you actually get it set up online and get the group out to the world on Meetup, they're going to start sending out emails. Well, they send one announcement email out about your group with the name and anything else you include on your Meetup site. So it's good to have a name that is catchy, that is memorable, and that is clear right up front. If you don't, and your group starts growing with a name that you don't really like, then your group has already established, you've already established awareness about your group in the community, so it's hard to change your group name after you've already been going with a name for a while. So what to name your Meetup group? You want to choose a name that represents something, either who your ideal group members, the type of person they want to identify with, like Daring Divas would be the type of person they want to identify with, or a specific positive result or outcome that they might want. If your group deals with things like trauma, addictions, abuse, like heavy topics like that, don't name your group that. I don't recommend it, because you want to focus on the positive side of it. Now, I'm into marketing. I'm all about pain points and all of that. You can include pain points in the regular page copy. But for the name, you want to keep it on the positive side, because you want your people to you don't want really to create a situation where they feel embarrassed about being part of your group, or like, that they don't want their picture seen in your group and all that. There's different privacy levels and stuff, but I would keep the name focused on the positive. Fifth thing is you also want to set a launch date. So when is your group going to launch? And then you want to work backwards from there, so that you have all of your about page copy written. You have your first event on the calendar and you're ready to go. You also want to have like a visual graphic header for your Meetup group and your first event. You want to have that all ready to go. Because once you set your group up in Meetup, this happens automatically, so you can't really control it. Meetup will send out an announcement email to everyone in your area about your event, which is awesome because it gets you lots of exposure, and then people start coming and joining your group. But if your group isn't set up in a way that inspires them to want to join once they land on your page, then that's not so good. So you want to make sure you know your launch date and you plan backwards so you can be all set up and ready to go and look professional and like a group people would want to join once that email goes out. So the sixth thing that you need to have in place is, before you launch your Meetup group, is your strategy. Now there's a ton of different moving parts to the strategy, and I'll be totally honest with you, you want to have an idea of the strategy before you start, but in a sense, there's some things you just can't learn until you start doing it. So let me share some of the things you want to have an idea about before you launch. So you want to know what types of events your group hosts. So like we do a monthly spotlight event where we feature one of our Impact Tribe members, for example. So that's a type of an event. We do social networking events. We do luncheons. Like there's just different types of events that we do that keep our process easy, so we're not recreating the wheel every time, and also create a way for our members to know what to expect from the events. So types of events, you want to know how often. I recommend at least once a month. Don't let it go too long, or else you'll start to lose momentum in between your events and the energy will just die down. You also don't want to put too many events on your calendar, because then it waters down your marketing. You want a window before each event so that you have time to promote it and fill it. You want to know how you will grow your membership and fill your events. So again, this is just coming back to that 6th point of strategy, and these are the different strategies you need to think about. You want to know if and how much you're going to charge your members, and if you're going to have membership levels within your group. You want to know how your meetup group will fit into the context of your overall business, because this is a marketing strategy when it all boils down to business, right? And otherwise it's just community service. And meetup group takes so much love, energy, attention, time. You want to be doing it right so that the ROI is actually there and it's not just draining your energy and you're feeling depleted and like you're giving, but not getting anything in return. You want to know if you're going to have guest speakers, and if so, how are you going to profit from the guest speakers so you can make it a win-win for everybody. You need an email marketing plan that fits into, that fills your events every time. And then you also need a strategy for preventing those damn no-shows, because that can be really frustrating when you put so much energy into planning an event and then nobody shows up, or like 2 people show up. Okay, so let's move on, and I want to move on. Those are the 6 things. We just covered the first section. Now I want to talk about some ways to become that sought-after leader and sought-after expert from your meetup group without having to sell anything, without feeling salesy and pushy, because I know none of us want that. So the first thing to become that sought-after expert in your community is really obvious, but I have to say it, is just to start. You have to start your group, which means it's simple, but it's not so simple. You have to decide that you're going to stop waiting for other people to see your brilliance and giving you permission to lead, and that you are going to step into that leadership role that you know you are born for. And that's what I had to do back in the day. I mean, I was waiting. Like, nobody sees me. Well, of course, because I didn't see myself. I didn't choose to step up. So once you choose to step up, then other people will start to see you as the leader. Just by being the leader of your meetup group and hosting events and introducing, everyone and yourself at the beginning and facilitating the event, people start to see you as the leader. So you've got to make the choice, and you've got to just begin, and you've got to know that you are deserving of it. So as your name becomes known in the community through stepping up into your leadership role, and as you consistently and clearly share how you serve through every event, that's when you start becoming that go-to expert. And it doesn't happen overnight. Remember, Meetup is a long-term success strategy. This is not a strategy for people who want to make $1 million overnight. It's something that is a sustainable way to fuel your business. So the other piece to being that go-to expert in your area and selling your programs and your services without having to feel pushy in your meetup group is to be believable. So like I said, you've got to make the choice to be the leader and step up, but you can't, it's not exactly that simple, because when you do that, you also have to be believable. Like, you've got to look and act and be the part, so that your presence, both online and off, backs it up. Now, you might not be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. It's just, we're not perfect. But you might not be exactly where you want to be at the beginning, but you're going to do as much as you can. And so here are some things that you want to pay attention to. First is about your presence. So for people to believe in you as the leader, to be believable, your presence, meaning your energetic presence, your body language, your voice, how you move in your body, how you speak, these things need to be the part. And so if you're closed down, if your energy is blocked, If your voice isn't clear and confident, these will be things that set off that signal of like, she's not really, that person that I can confidently trust and feel like I can follow. You also want to show up professionally online. So when you have your meetup group, you're going to have people looking at who's the leader of this group, and then they're going to click your name, and then they're going to go to your website and go, wherever they go to check you out. And you want to make sure that what they find is credible, so that you are, again, believable. You want to have a clear message so that every time you show up at your events, your message is clear and people start to understand, like, wow, she's a professional. She knows what she's doing. You're not changing your message every time or who you serve every time, because then it starts to be like, she can't be that good at this because last time she introduced herself, she said she did something else. So like, and I actually did this back in the day, like in the beginning of my group, like I was bopping all around because I wasn't clear on my message. And that's one of the reasons I spent the first 2 years of my group with a great group. Daring Divas was a great group, but it actually wasn't doing anything for my business. So it ended up costing me a lot of time, money, and energy, and I didn't have much to show for it the first couple of years.
Jessie May?
Yeah.
Just so you know, it's 9:50, but I want you to continue, and people are welcome to leave if they have to at 10, but
okay.
I think feel free to finish your presentation, and we'll have Q&A, and I'm happy to stick around. So just, if anyone has to go, no worries. You're welcome to, and this is all recorded.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for the time check, Liz.
Yeah.
So the last part about being able to attract clients and sell your services without feeling pushy in your meetup group is that you want to use your group to show your expertise through live speaking and workshops. And through those workshops and live speaking, you want to make free offers. So I do not recommend that you create a meetup group and then you try to sell a $5,000 coaching program at an event. So what you want to do is do an event, a workshop or a talk that delivers high quality content, and then invite them into a free offer. Or if you're more advanced in your business and you're not doing free offers, do a paid discovery session where they're getting time with you for a very good price, much cheaper than your normal price. And from that one-on-one conversation, then you can invite them into your private coaching program or that higher end offer that you might have in your business. When you try to sell like high ticket offers at your meetup group events, unless you're doing a weekend workshop or a full day workshop, you don't have the time, because meetup events are usually like an hour and a half. You don't have the time to really establish that credibility that you need in that short amount of time to make that kind of offer. Okay, so let's move on to the one thing that you need to do to inspire people to join your meetup group. And it's really simple. You need to take pictures. You need to have pictures. You need to document your events, because when people come to your meetup group online, they're looking at your group, they're going to go check out the pictures to see, are these my kind of people? Is this a tribe where I would feel like I fit in? Does anybody actually show up to those events? Like, are they having fun? Like, your pictures speak louder than words. So you want to make sure you have pictures at every single event, and you post them into the event page for that event when you get home. Really, really important. Okay. So next, 3 ways to keep your members coming back again and again. Number 1, be consistent. You want to be consistent so they know the group is for real and it's not going away in 3 months. There are tons of meetup groups out there, like I said, that have empty calendars. They're growing cobwebs. They host an event every 5 months. They don't communicate in between. It's not enough to keep momentum and to keep people inspired to be part of the group. You've got to be consistent so people trust that you're sticking around and they're not wasting their time, because it's really through coming back again and again, that they get the real value out of being part of your community. The other way to keep members coming back again and again is to survey your members. Just ask them what they want. Find out what types of events they want, what inspired them to join the group in the first place, what days and times work best for them. I like Typeform as a survey tool because you can make it pretty and all on brand, and I like that kind of thing. So Typeform is what I recommend. And then the third way to keep members coming back again and again is to make sure you stay connected between events. So yeah, your events are great, but if you're not staying connected in between events, you are losing them, especially if you're only doing an event once a month, or worse, even less. So you want to have a system and a schedule in place for sending reminder emails for events. Yes, Meetup does this automatically for you, but because I'm so big on your brand, I recommend you sending your own emails so that you can personalize them, you can speak to your members in your own voice, and it's not just a generic blah email that they're getting from Meetup that they're not really going to pay attention to. So I recommend doing that yourself. You also can send these are just ideas, you don't have to do all of them, but you could send a free monthly resource to your group that highlights an area of your expertise. You could send them a monthly email, or newsletter. Like I send a newsletter on the first of every month to my group. Just recaps what we did last month, what's coming up. I send a little personal message at the beginning of that, and then also some pictures. Include pictures in your emails so that they can see all the fun you've been having, and they're like, I've been missing out. I need to go next time. So those are 3 ways to keep your members coming back again and again. And I'm almost done. Lastly, we're going to talk about the top 3 mistakes that I've seen Meetup group leaders make that cost them income, cost them clients, cost them new members. And I don't want you to make these mistakes, because you'll get to that level with your Meetup group of success that you want much faster if you can, jump over these. So first mistake is that the group looks blah. So what does blah mean? It means there's no events on the calendar. I know you've heard me say that again and again, but that's a big one. Got to have events on your calendar. Otherwise people will land in your Meetup group and say, oh, they don't have anything going on. I don't need to join. So it looks blah because there's no events on the calendar. There's no pictures of members having a great time. The written copy on your about page and on your event pages is boring, or it's all written in one big fat paragraph that is like drudgery to read through and nobody will. And it's also not written in a way that inspires them and helps connect with their heart and why they would want to join. Finally, there's no why or purpose or mission behind the Meetup group, which means there's no inspiration. You've got to get people fired up and give them a reason to be part of what you've got going on. Okay, so the second mistake is that the experience is lackluster. So they get past the whole online thing. They sign up, they attend your event, but then when they attend, the event feels dry and uninspired. Maybe it's in a location that just the energy isn't really very good. And that all comes back to the brand, right? You want to know what your brand is so that you can choose locations that align with the look and feel and the energy that you want your group to have. If you're a spiritual healer, you're not going to have your events in a sports bar. It just wouldn't make sense, right? So you also help create that experience, that inspired, lit up experience by being the leader of your Meetup group. So you need to think about, how do I want to show up as a leader, and how do I want people to feel in my presence? What kind of experience do I want to create here? The next thing, actually before that, the ways to create a better experience. Here are some ways to create a better experience. So I already talked about making sure the location matches the brand. You want to know your energy and impact that you want to have as a leader of your group. And you want to go above and beyond. And that doesn't have to mean spending a lot of money. What that especially means is you taking the time and giving your members the gift of presence by taking the time to connect with each of them, or if your events are large, like doing your best to connect with as many people as possible and really show up fully and engaged and present. And then the third mistake that can end up costing your meetup group is that it's just a mindset thing. Like you're stuck in this short-term trap of always trying to be in a place where like, where's my money coming? Where are my clients coming? And then doing things that are kind of get rich quick, which I don't really believe in, but that you might think can make you money faster. This idea of like, it's just a place of lack. It's like this place of being where it's like, I've got to make money. Where's it coming from? So I don't have time to actually build and cultivate and nurture a meetup group that will sustain my business long-term and take me out of that place of lack and always putting out fires and the place that I know that we all don't want to be. So it's a mindset shift of going into that place of abundance and creating that strong foundation for our business that will serve us in the long run. And yes, it does take work and time and energy and love and commitment and all of that to really make it successful. So that's it. Now I have time for your questions.
Okay, Jessie May, thank you. I know there's a lot of questions. I have some too, but I'll let other people have them. But let me just switch how we view here. Okay, that's good stuff, Jessie May.
I know, I feel like I was like a speed train running through all of that. So
Not really. No, I thought it was a good pace, and you hit all the great points. And does anyone here have some questions? Just raise your hand and we can unmute you. Dagmar, go ahead. I'm going to unmute you. Whoop. Oh, we unmuted you.
Okay.
There you go.
Hi, Jessie. First of all, you did a great job. I loved it. I loved all your points. I think they're really awesome.
Thanks.
Yes. And actually, you know, what's interesting is about all that stuff you mentioned about being able to step up into the leadership and overcome all the emotional stuff and to be able to align with yourself. I offer that, by the way, in my Advanced Healers Academy, to work on yourself, to develop yourself to that level of being able to do that.
Yeah, it's important.
It is totally important. And but anyway, the question I had was, do you have any suggestions on like how to price meetups?
Yeah, I do. So know that I've done all the things. I've tried all the things. And what I do now might not work for you, but I'm going to tell you what I've done and what I've tried. So there are a few different options. Today, currently, my meetups are free. And the reason that my meetups are free is because I don't want to create a barrier to entry. I want to attract as many people as can be there to be there. And I don't want them to have an excuse for not coming. That being said, I've implemented a model where I have two different levels within my meetup group. So there is a membership level that people pay an annual fee to be a part of that level, which gives them more. It gives them a monthly mastermind. It gives them like a monthly Zoom training with me, a Facebook group, just more intimate connection and community and support. So that is not free, but I do offer multiple events for the entire group for free. Now, that saying, I have charged for events in the past. There are different ways you can go about that. You can do, and I'm assuming these are kind of like short-ish workshop talks type events rather than like all day trainings or something. Is that?
You're talking the meetup itself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming like an hour or two for a meetup.
Yeah, great. So we're on the same page. Some people like to do like retreats and like longer things. So
I don't consider those meetups more as in workshops and things like that.
Yeah, great. We're on the same page then. So some of the things you could do for that is you could have an early bird price. You could have a 3-tier payment. You could have an early bird price, then a pay in advance price, and a pay at the door price.
Okay.
That inspires people to get into action and sign up sooner than later. So that's one option. You could also have have it be where they pay up front, like say they pay $20 up front, but if they bring a friend and they both show up at the door, then you give them their $20 back at the door. So basically it's a free event, but it's getting more people into your event, which is good for you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've done them mostly for free in the past too. I do believe that, like you don't want to keep that barrier, especially if the meetup is kind of where you're trying to gather people, you know, and bring people to you, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. Unless, of course, you're getting charged for the room, then you got to consider that aspect of it.
Yeah, you have to decide if that's going to be a business expense that you're, you know, a marketing expense that you're willing to just take on, or if you are in a place where you really need to have that covered by your members. You could put out a donation basket at this check-in table if you don't want to officially charge for it, but you want
right. And or, I mean, do you recommend having somebody that always speaks? Because I wondered about that. I haven't had that in the past. No, you don't have to have somebody.
No, I think it's nice to mix things up. It always depends on your type, you know, the type of meetup group you're trying to run and the community you're trying to create. But most people are joining Meetup in general for community, for connection, for friendship, for that kind of thing. And yes, there's people who want to listen to talks and learn and that kind of stuff too. But I have found that with my group, the social events are usually the most popular and well attended. And when I say social events, I'm not talking about going out to happy hour. Like there's tons of groups you can do that with, but I'm talking about creating an event that is more about connection and socializing and engaging with each other rather than a speaker up at the top, up at the
front. Gotcha. Okay, thank you for that.
Both, I would say do both.
Kind of maybe mix it up a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have a question from Sharon. I'm going to unmute you, Sharon. What's your question, my dear?
So it is a very functional, foundational question, and that is, how does one go about changing the group name if you've already established a meetup and you are refocusing? Do you know? I mean, this is a detail, and I just haven't been able to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, you can change the name easily just in the Meetup settings. Like, but the thing that's not as easy is like changing the fact that people already know your group by that name. So you have to just get it out there to your community that the name is changing. We're now going to be called this, and just start doing it. But inside a Meetup, technically, it's easy to do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Deborah had a question that everyone might want to know about, and that's whether you can start a Meetup online.
Yeah. Well, what's Liz doing right now, you guys?
No, yeah, you can, but you can't do it
through Meetup. I see. Meetup. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, that's something that I kind of forgot to mention earlier, is that what I teach about around Meetup can be applied to pretty much any community. It doesn't have to be the Meetup platform, but any kind of like online or in-person place where you're gathering people together in live settings.
Yeah, I agree. I've got a lot of great pointers here today, Jessie May, for sure. But when I looked at as a marketer, you want to use the Meetup platform if you're going to do community events, because they do so much marketing for you. It's huge.
It is really helpful.
Enormous, that you don't have to go pay for leads. They're going to get you leads, and then it's up to you to go from there. Hold on one second, Dagmar. Lynn had a question about context of an event. Lynn, do you want to?
Yeah, my question is this. If you're doing free events, like ours has wine and hors d'oeuvres and a venue that charges and all of that. So we've been making sure that the charge for our event is, in the context of our community, very affordable. For part of that event is a networking event. It's a networking event with a personal development theme. So how do you said earlier, you have to decide if that is just a business expense or whether you're going to charge. Do you feel like charging for an event that includes wine and food and all that stuff if it's just expected in your community, that's okay, or should you find some way around that? Or do you include food and wine and all that sort of stuff in the
Yeah, I think that's totally fine to charge if you're including food and wine. Like we do lunches sometimes at Daring Divas, and that people pay for their lunch. You know, we charge them for the food. So yeah, they do have to pay for that event up front, but really they're just paying the venue. I'm not like upcharging. You could if you wanted to, but I'm not paying like hundreds of dollars for everybody's lunch. Great.
So before we take any other questions, Jessie May, I want to make sure we let everyone know that you do have an online training offering. Did you want to mention that today, or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I do have a course called Meetup Mastery where we go much more in depth into all of this, and it's an 8-week course. And I also give you what I call the resource center with all of the templates and examples from emails to table signs, to speaker agreements, to your monthly newsletter templates, to event page templates. So you don't have to spend your own time and energy on doing all that stuff. I think that's probably the favorite part of the course.
That's huge.
But basically it's like Meetup in a box. Like I'm giving you my system and all the things, so you can just copy what I did. And, you always want to take it and apply it to what you're doing. But yeah, so I've been running that course live for the last year and a half. And right now I'm kind of in transition with it, meaning that I'm not launching, or I don't have a live group coming up. But what I wanted to offer to any of you who want to get your hands on it quickly, and you're not wanting to wait for my next live group, is the self-led version at half off. So the course is usually $9.97, so I wanted to offer it to all of you for half of that, if you would like the self-led version. So that it includes 8 modules, and they're all of me on video, face to camera, teaching you about Meetup. Let me tell you what the modules are. The first module is about how to build your profitable Meetup brand. Second module is all about leadership, so how to step up and be the leader others want to follow. Then we have create your strategy and set your goals. And the fourth module is all about launching your group, so the tech side, how to set it up, all that fun stuff. Then we have design and host profitable events. And next is masterful marketing for Meetup success. And then we have make money with Meetup. And then finally, collaborate with guest speakers. So like I said, it's an 8-week course, and I'd love to offer it to those of you who want that kind of support with your own Meetup groups at half off. And if you want it, I am just going to be super simple. All you need to do is email me, and I will add you into the course. And I'll send you a payment request, and then I'll add you into the course. So I'll put my email. I'll get an email to you guys.
Yeah, you want to do that, Jessie May? Is it Jessie May at CoachJessieMay.com?
Yeah, I'll put it in here, and then Liz, maybe you could put it.
I'll add it to the video for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep this as a standing offer if I post this on?
I can keep it for a little while.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for anyone watching this video, this is.
I can't guarantee that.
No.
I mean, it might. Yeah, it'll probably be available for like the next couple weeks. But,
okay, that's fine. And today is September 11th, 2018.
There you go.
Okay. I'm just going to say that out loud. So if anyone who sees this then wants to get the deal and they don't be disappointed. This is we want to give opportunities to people that showed up for this event today. And I do want to say something about Jessie May. When I first met her, Jessie May was talking about her aha moment in the car when she started crying and she realized she got the message, I can't do this in isolation. I got the same message when I met Jessie May in regards to another topic. And the topic was branding and the importance of aligning yourself with everything. And for all you energy healers, this is an energetic alignment as opposed to this scattered type of thinking and wondering and doubting and blah, 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 because you haven't aligned with the branding part of your business. And when I met Jessie May, I'm like, oh, this is absolutely key. And many of you know I study higher consciousness, and this is an alignment with higher energy attractor fields to get conscious about who you are, what you stand for, who your ideal clients are. This is a alignment with higher consciousness, with then this is where the power comes and the leverage and things start to shift that Jessie May is talking about, because she got clear on all of this, and now life around you is lining up. This is your
If you're not clear, no one else will be.
Absolutely. It's like so many people come to me unclear. I'm like, okay, you want me to sift through this for you? I don't think so. Your clients don't want to figure you out. You got to figure you out and then speak clearly so that everyone's like, oh yeah. It's like a hell yes, I get it. So anyway, branding your meetup group is I highly recommend you brand everything that you do. And a meetup group is another entity that deserves that higher level of consciousness and attention. So I just want to throw that in there. I think, Dagmar, you had one other question before we go. Oh, you had it answered. Okay. Well, I want to thank you. Oh, Liz, please. Oh, hold on. Unmute. Oh,
Okay, there we go.
there you
I
go.
didn't want to mess it up again. Yeah, I just had a quick question. How long, like from the time we set it up and start putting events on the calendar, like should we be filling up events right away, or does it take, is it a building thing? Is there a period of time that's, you know, where it's slow to grow, or what should we expect?
Well, there definitely will be a period of time of growth at the beginning. Depending on your topic and your location, how quickly your group grows will vary. But when you do start your group, I recommend having one event or more on the calendar, but I think one is sufficient. Definitely have at least one. And I would have it about 2 weeks out from your launch date, so that you have time for people to join and then RSVP for your event. And does that answer your question, or is there something more?
Well, just like if, say, 2 people show up to that one, I mean, how soon can we expect to be filling events? Like, is there a...
It really it depends on all those strategy pieces that, like, I went over today, and how, you know, I hate to give you this kind of generic answer, but there's just so many variables. It depends where you live. It depends on your topic. It depends how well you're staying in communication with them in between events. It depends how clear your communication is through email and on event pages and at your events. So, like, it's just...
So if we do all the things that, you know, we talked about,
Yeah.
and we're in a good location for meetup, we can expect to be filling events. If we're not, we probably need to take a look at what we're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, I had, without doing all of this, because I didn't do all of this when I started, I think I had 12 people at my very first event. And then after that, I was filling events pretty quickly with 20 to 70 people. I would say that is a really high number for most groups. So I would expect that your expectations for each group should be around 12 to 30, I think, is what you should be aiming for. Yeah.
So Jessie,
Yeah, that answers my question. Thank you.
she does live in a highly populated metropolitan area. So she's in Boulder, which I think there's 100,000 people there just in that town alone. Denver is a million population or whatever. So you got to kind of gauge it based on where you live. How many people are around where you live? How do you know what your community wants? Make sure you're really answering a big why for people, or have a really results-driven reason for someone to come to your event. And that alignment with your brand, what Jessie May is talking about, what I just talked about, is going to shore up your ability to attract who you want much quicker if you get clear on every bullet point that she talked about today.
Yeah. And at some point you're going to kind of tap out your area. Like during Divas grew quickly the first probably 2 or 3 years. Like it was like, and then it started to level out. And And honestly, I haven't put a lot of marketing effort into growing the group outside of Meetup and Facebook and, just like my social media. I haven't done Facebook ads. I haven't attended, like, had booths at trade shows and conferences and like really gotten it out there. So it's really grown to 2,500 members with just, no real money invested in marketing, just using the strategies that I've taught you today.
So, if there's no other questions, Jessie May, I want to thank you so much. This is
You're welcome. Thanks so much for having me.
I love having you. I love seeing you. I miss you. I've decided I'm going to come to at least the quarterly luncheons if you're still doing them.
Good.
Yeah. Jessie May used to do monthly luncheons, and I think she figured out this is a lot of work. So now she's doing fun quarterly luncheons where you can be a presenter. So there's ways to kind of monetize Meetup, but I think you need to grow your brand first so that people want to pay you to get in front of their audience. I mean, that's a strategy that she employs now. And she's not trying to make money off of anybody, really. She's just a true giver, but she's very gifted at what she does. She's an excellent communication specialist when it comes to emails. They're very engaging, and she speaks in her own true voice, and you just want to be a part of what she's doing. So thank you, Jessie May. And before you guys go, I just want to tell you what's coming up next week is I'm doing a presentation on LinkBait, and it's all about kind of search marketing and understanding how search marketing works and what type of content you can create that others will want to link to. So that's what LinkBait is about. It's creating content that others outside of you, because it's an important search strategy to have people link to your website. So we're doing that, and it's a lot easier to do LinkBait when you're part of a network as opposed to an individual website. It's a lot of work otherwise. And then after that, so many people don't know how to write an SEO optimized blog. I'm going to take you step by step through it so that when you do write a blog, it actually gets some traffic. So I'm going to walk step by step through that the week after that. And Lynn's gone, but the first week of October is Mastermind Week. And then I have a guest presenter coming later in October, Jessie May, Johanna Walker. We had people interested in how to craft a story to enrich your business. If you're going to be a presenter, how do you craft that story? Kind of like what Jessie May was doing. And Johanna Walker, and maybe Jessie May, you can chime in on this one, is an awesome speaker. And she's going to talk to us about how to do that. And she's very entertaining and passionate about what she does. So she's coming in later in October. And I meant to tell Lynn Shula that she was the one who brought that up. So thank you very much, everyone. This will be on a recording and a blog post. And most of you are on our email, so you'll receive the recording of this. And Jessie May, thank you so much, my dear. So great to see you. When's your next quarterly luncheon?
In November, holiday lunch.
Okay, cool. Ooh, fun.
But we have lots of events before then.
Yes, I know. I'm going to have to go there and map it out. But it's a 4-hour ride for me to get there. So
I know.
But I'll definitely do a luncheon for sure.
Okay.
All right, gang. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. Great to meet you.
Yes.